We're talking about overcoming emotions that destroy. And if there is one takeaway, I mean, of all the things I've learned about anger in Scripture and theology and psychology, it's this. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's never the problem. I often use the illustration of driving in your car and a red light comes on the dashboard and it's blinking and it says check engine, check engine, check engine. And I don't know anyone that would see that and the light is blaring and flashing that would pull off the side of the road and stop the car, open their trunk, get a hammer out, look at that dashboard and smash the red light and say, well, got that taken care of. Smashing the light that's telling you something is wrong doesn't solve the problem. And anger is a secondary emotion. I mean, it is not the problem. Imagine, if you would, in fact, we have a great picture in the book of an iceberg. And iceberg has only 10% above the water, and then 90% is under the water. And if you could picture in your mind with me the word anger, and that's the symptom, but underneath the iceberg, the 90% are three major causes of anger. One is hurt. That's rooted in unmet needs. The second is frustration. And the third is insecurity. And so what I'm going to show you is some biblical examples of how this plays out in biblical characters and then in us. And then what you're going to learn, like I learned, is that when I get angry, when I can get out of just that emotional state, I can recognize, wait a minute, the light of my soul, the dashboard of my soul is lighting up. And the Spirit of God is using my anger to tell me there's something wrong underneath. Let me give you an example how it's the root cause. Remember back in Genesis, remember the story of Joseph and, his brothers, and he was the youngest one, and his father treated him, he got the nice coat, and his brothers were out working, and he got all the easy jobs. And, we pick up the story in Genesis 37 and verse 4. It says, but when his brothers saw him, that his father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now, isn't that interesting? The root issue is their father's partiality. The root issue is that, he's treating one son well and the other son's not fairly. The root issue is this jealousy and this partiality. And so what happens? There's anger. And the anger isn't, notice, it's directed not at the father, who's the real culprit, but at the son. And see, this is what we do all the time. See, anger lets you know that something's wrong, but it's a hurt. I mean, they're boys, they have a dad, they want to be loved. Now, can you imagine them doing this? Excuse me, Father, could we have a talk? Yes. Well, we've noticed that you showed some dysfunctional qualities in your relationship with Joseph, except for the rest of us. We want you to know that this will have a very detrimental effect on our psyches and in our relationships with one another. Because you're doing this, we'd like to let you know that this is an issue in our relationship. Right? I mean, who does that? The fact of the matter is they feel hurt, they feel rejected, they feel like their father loves Joseph more, they bolt to anger. What we do when we get hurt is we bolt to anger because it's a safer place. I love the one little paragraph that we put in the book on this that I think will be helpful for you. We just described well where Dr. Becca Johnson writes with me, when people abandon us, when they let us down, when someone doesn't come through, when we feel rejected, lonely, left out, sorrowful, we generally cover it up with anger because these emotions are so strong, so painful and confusing, anger serves as a more satisfying substitute. Now, then what do? Let me just give a quick review. When you feel hurt, when you feel angry and you realize it's because someone's abandoned you or said something or rejected you, let me encourage you to get a 3x5 card out and write, I feel angry when, and then draw a line, you ... I feel angry when, and then just fill it in. You don't pay attention to me. I feel angry when you raise your voice and talk to me that way. And learn to say, I feel messages, and what you'll find is you can attack the issue instead of the person. We've got more information in the book. I hope you get a copy. It'll be real helpful.